Hello, everyone. This is Henry Schneider with the Business Performance Podcast. And today it's my distinct pleasure to talk with Jordi Torras of Inbenta, which is an award-winning technology firm that's been around for 15 years that uses natural language search technology to help increase the efficiency of their customers. So, Jordi, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Henry, for having me here. That show is great.
Okay. So to begin with, would you please briefly describe your company, Inbenta, the type of customers you serve, and the types of services and products you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in this space, generally speaking, we are in the space of artificial intelligence, which is now super big. But in particular, we work in what we call natural language processing. So our mission is to make sure that our customers find answers to their questions efficiently. So if you look at Google, we are the Google of the enterprise for help and support. So our customers would use our technology that essentially helps them make sure that their customers or users will find answers quickly and effectively. That's what we do.
Okay, cool. So how does quality factor into that? What do your customers think about in terms of quality for what you're offering?
That's a good question. What I believe is in this space of artificial intelligence, essentially you are all the time being compared to human intelligence, right? That's what machines are supposed to do is hey, that particular software to accomplish that particular task is as intelligent as a human would be. In our particular case, you have to imagine a little kind of a real person behind the screen of a computer actually answering your questions. Mm-hmm. And not only a human, but a human who speaks your language, who understands the business and who understands the problem, and who can actually help you solve the problems. That's our standard on quality. So this is what we want to do. But not only that, what we also need is our customers, which is, as I said, the enterprise. They can't really afford to train a system like that for a long time. They need to go live quick with often limited resources, and they need fast time to market. So here we go. We have these two competing kind of scenarios here. On one hand, you need something that is as intelligent as a human would be, but on the other hand, you need something that you need to go live with quick. So this is the kind of the standards that we are measuring on all the time.
I know early on, I guess artificial intelligence goes back several decades. So when I first encountered that, they would say like, well, you'll always get a correct answer with it, but you won't get the same answer each time. So how do you control that?
That is right. So the bottom line of artificial intelligence is that when it works, nobody calls it artificial intelligence anymore. Mm-hmm. So if you can take your iPhone, download a chess game, play a little bit, you might win, you might lose, but you don't think of it in terms of artificial intelligence. But if you go 20 years back, that was precisely where artificial intelligence ultimate goal was to have that master. Then it was Go, a more complicated game. But at the end of the day, what happens is artificial intelligence is always going to be in that edge of things that look like solvable by computers, but they're not quite yet, and keeps on extending and getting bigger.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So what are one or two of the biggest myths or misconceptions about artificial intelligence and business performance?
Well, there are several misconceptions nowadays. Essentially, I would say there is a lot of PR and blogs out there that tend to misguide on how artificial intelligence really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have heard about people saying, hey, that could be a dangerous thing. It could steal our jobs. What I believe is just, with artificial intelligence, with the right data, the right training, can actually solve human problems and free the humankind to do other tasks that are more intellectually fulfilling.
Yeah.
And if you look at artificial intelligence, is still really stupid compared to an average human. Yet, what we want to have is AI that is able to take care of jobs and tasks that are essentially boring. So we want AI to take care of the boring stuff. That's what, at this point, where AI is, and probably will be for a long time.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. That makes sense. Because those mundane, boring jobs where people make tons of mistakes.
That's right. They make mistakes, sometimes fatal mistakes. Sometimes these jobs just become kind of a way where people want to be just for a few months or not their entire career, and they are, because they are boring, they are an actual condemnation for the human mind. So we believe that AI has the opportunity now to start taking care of these tasks, and as I said, free humans for more creative and interactive activities that are more fulfilling.
Okay, now to change topics slightly, what's the biggest challenge that you and Inbenta face with business performance?
Well, of course, there's a lot of competitors. There's a confusion in the market, so it is hard for a small company like us say, hey, our AI outperforms companies like Microsoft or Google or IBM. So we have to make sure our customers are able to see the benefits of our technology very quickly and with minimal intervention. So that's kind of the challenge here is unlike other software sectors, AI, we know that AI is never perfect. We know AI is not perfect intelligence, of course. So our challenge is, how can we prove our potential customers of our value and doing it quickly and efficiently? I would say that's what we are trying to find out all the time.
So how do you get when you talk to your customers, how do you overcome their fears about going with somebody small versus the larger AI companies?
That's a big question. Indeed, going with smaller companies is always a risk. And a company might take this kind of risk if the technology really, really works. So also, some vertical sectors are traditionally more risk averse than others. I would say maybe financial institutions in the US are less keen to take risks that, for example, the same kind of a similar financial institution in Europe. But then software vendors in the US might like to explore new startups and new technologies that can bring competitive advantage, maybe because of less costs, maybe because of increased revenue. So here we are, having different markets opened and trying to find these kind of vertical sectors and opportunities for companies that might find actually taking these risks, controlled risks, but a kind of a way to improve their competitive advantage.
So does Inbenta then also work with call centers? So when you call up, you think you're talking to somebody, so it's talking back to you?
We tell our customers all the time, do not ever pretend our system to be human.
Okay.
And most of our customers use Inbenta in their website.
Oh, okay.
So you will go to the website, you will see a help section, or you're going to see a talk to us section, and then is when hey, this is where kind of you can now interact, and then you can ask the question in your own words. But we don't say that you're talking to a human. We say, this is a chat bot. This is an intelligent question and answering system, semantic search. There's several ways to say that, but we tell our customers do not pretend to be human, because you're not, and then you're going to be caught very, very quickly.
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, that's what really irritates me when I call up and I know I'm in a phone tree somewhere and I want to talk to a human being. I don't want to talk to a computer.
That's right. And I had this customer who said, okay, we're going to have this sentiment detection, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have that sentiment. So when a customer seems like they are stressed or mad or in a bad mood, then we're going to pass the conversation to an actual agent. But guess what? Humans are, at the end of the day, also organisms that evolve. So you see this company, somebody calls insulting the avatar or the virtual assistant or a chatbot, and then an actual human would take over and say, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, but what happened? What can we do for you?" And the guy say, "No, I'm fine. I'm just insulting the guy because I know it's the way that then I'm going to talk to somebody."
Yeah, I've heard that. Somebody told me, like, well, if you start swearing, then you actually get to talk to it.
That's right. So much for sentiment detection. Yes.
That's right. So could you share a story of how you helped one of your clients overcome these obstacles with the fear of AI and succeed?
Sure. Several customers we've been working with, like Groupon is one of our customers. We started working for them maybe 6 years ago already. They had a super cool, and they have a super cool customer service. So what they want is they have a promise. They say whatever it happens, you will talk to Groupon and you will get an answer from us in less than, I don't remember exactly time frame, but in hours. Yeah. So that was the promise. But as the company was growing more, that promise was getting harder to keep, and of course more expensive. Mm-hmm. So we tried different things, but essentially we say, okay, I'm going to take your frequently asked questions. We're going to take your help wizard. And we're going to do is build a system where basically says, what can I do for you? And you ask a question, and then you get an answer right away. And if that answer doesn't fulfill your request, then that's going to go into the call center, and that has worked, very, very, very good in terms of not degrading the service at all, and still being able for the company to have a nice scalable business model.
Okay, yeah. So you help them meet their service level agreement times, and
that's correct. We help them keep them, but also keep their costs relatively flat. That was a challenge over here.
So what would you consider to be the moral of that story? Yeah.
Well, there are several morals of the story. One is use AI, but all the time making sure that humans are there to help immediately. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. That's when don't just think or believe that the AI is going to solve the day. You have to be ready to use your human brain power there to help. The second story is there's no magic recipe here. You just by learning more and more what your customers need and creating content accordingly over time, you can massively improve the system. But there's no one night solution. It requires iterations of better and better content, and very talented people within the organization that understand those questions and create more and more content that will solve thousands of different questions. And then AI can effectively match user questions with answers, but at the end of the day, you need those answers, and they have to be well written, and they have to be concise, and it's not sometimes it's not an easy thing to do, and you need skills to do that. So what I would say is AI in that particular case was not taking jobs away at all. What it was doing is creating new jobs, like what we call bot master, which is the person who's in charge of having a strategy for the conversations and dialogues.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, there's a rich amount of data and information that's stored in those systems to be able to rapidly go through all of that and pull out the right answers.
That's right. That's right. There's a lot of data that needs to be processed in order to get into the AI to reach conclusions, but still you need talents to make sure that all the so in other words, the bot can be very effective at understanding a question and see what is the best answer. What a bot cannot do today is tell the actual answer in terms that are going to be understood. You still need a good English writer or Spanish or any other language. You need that talent, and that's going to be like this for a long time, I believe.
Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions with artificial intelligence is that it's actually sentient and thinking. It's just really pulling together words and stacking them in some kind of syntax, which may not make any sense.
Yeah, the AI does not think. What computers do with AI software is process data, compute neural connections, compute thousands of numbers based on that data, but I wouldn't call that think.
Right. So when it comes to quality, what are some of the common pitfalls or mistakes that you need to keep in mind when you're working with your customers?
Especially the lack of content. Sometimes say, hey, we have our call center. It's been answering questions for a long time. We have all that data. We have our website, which contains answers for generic questions. So take all that, use your magic, and solve our problem by tomorrow. That's something that I have seen some vendors selling it, and therefore kind of under delivering because they were promising a lot. So to me, as I said, right, so making sure you have the talent to create content on demand as you discover better what your customers need. It's the way to go. Sometimes it's not difficult. Sometimes big companies with different departments have somewhat compartmentalized vision of the business, which is not related at all to what a customer sees. So jargon, specific vocabulary, business processes that make no sense out of the company, all these things it should not affect users and customers. They should be transparent to that. So getting to that point is not as easy as it might seem. That's what I have seen is an organizational challenge sometimes, and you need time and effort to reach the point where you have your AI-based online system really being effective. It's not just plugging some machine learning algorithm. You need a talented team of individuals that understand the business, but also understand how customers think and how customers face their problems if they want to be really effective.
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, basically, you're talking about silos within the organization. They're not talking.
I have seen a lot of these silos. That's right, which negatively affect the capacity for the online communication to be totally.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, are you still there? Oh, for a second.
We were again. We got some bandwidth issues, and you kind of broke up.
Yeah, I think so. Now I'm checking my internet connection. It looks fine, but for a second or so, it was not.
Yeah. So could you just repeat what you said? Can you remember?
Yeah. Well, what I was trying to say is, still with AI and machine learning, you need a team of talented individuals that will put all that together, and they will overcome these silos and this kind of sometimes secretive vocabulary to make sure that they have a cohesive vision of service for the users. Was it better now?
Yeah. So when you encounter a company or a client that has those silos, what advice do you give them in order to be able, so you can move forward and to deliver a quality product to them?
Yeah, my advice is to it's organization, human resources, talent management, promotion. I've have even seen companies that say, "Hey, we have to buy AI, but not to save jobs, but to make sure that the existing talent that we have doesn't go away. That the talented and experienced people will not leave." These are the companies that have that vision tend to clearly outperform the companies have a more industrialized vision of talent management and human resources. So to me, at the end of the day, it is super important for these companies to understand how needs and jobs change over time, and promote the right people, the right talent, and make sure that they keep it. I know it doesn't sound like very technology-oriented answer, but what I can tell is companies that are good at selecting the right people, they have solutions out there very efficient, very quickly.
Yeah, I would imagine that, that there is that danger where somebody comes to you and say, "Here, we need your products," and you give it to them, and they spend all this money, but they don't change what they do internally, and so now they're not going to get the benefits.
Exactly. Then come back to us and say, "Hey, your technology doesn't work."
Mm-hmm.
And what can you do then, right? Is say, "Hey, it does work only if you would have a better way to organize the whole thing." Is challenge that we see all the time.
Yeah. Okay, so Jordi, could you talk about your family and what happened over your life to position you where you are today?
Oh, very. I mean, I'm a very local guy over here in Barcelona. That's a region within Spain called Catalonia. And when I say Barcelona, I'm not even from Barcelona. I'm from another city, what is close by, right? So I'm from a kind of a small city in a small region, in a small country, in a small place called Europe, and this is where I I was born. I've been happy enough to now for the last year enjoyed the United States. So I kind of I've seen how my kids have grown over there. I got 3 kids. They're at different ages. So I've been experiencing the how they're got a new language and a new culture, and how that make them also sort of unique creatures, which probably is what happens with all the people who raise kids in different countries. They end up with individuals that are pretty much unique.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me over here. Still when I went to the US for the first time, I was helping my kids to order things in the restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and now they laugh at me because of the way I speak. So that's how that they're very pretty much native, and I'm stuck here.
So how old are your children?
So yes, that's I think I'm fortunate to be able to enjoy. Okay, so calling them children would be a little bit kind of a too much. So the oldest, she's 21 already. A boy, he's 19,
Wow.
and then my little girl is 15 already. Wow. So yeah.
So they're not little anymore.
Not little. They're just people, not kids, not children. They're folks.
So can you So you mentioned that you came from a big family and you were the youngest of 5 children.
That's right.
How does that affect how you approach business?
Um, well, my father was a very conservative person, conservative in terms of money, right? So he said, well, we can't, we have to be careful how we spend the money. So my father wanted to have one kid only. My mother disagreed, and she said, no, we're going to have 2 kids. So something went terribly wrong when I was number 5. So probably that's how the whole thing, happened. And but I've been blessed living in a big family over here. And as I said, my oldest brother, very unfortunately, he passed away a few years back. But I had the opportunity to work with him hand in hand on building that business before, and that's how I said, hey, now that business is now sold, and I say, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own company. So that was Inbenta. The story of Inbenta is, we have to keep on working and being innovative.
Mhm.
Creating projects.
Okay. All right. So so you started Inventa in Barcelona. How did you expand it to San Francisco? What's the story there? How'd that work?
So little by little, first, as I said, started as a professional services company. There's a couple of things with this kind of business. A good thing is you don't need a lot of capital. You basically can grow your business as you go, funded by your own customers. And the bad news is they tend to be local. You have to be close to your customers physically and culturally to succeed. So once we transitioned into a software as a service, then it said, well, now we are at risk here. If we only do that kind of software and in this geography, one day Silicon Valley company come here and wipe us out, right? So say, well, we have to start going international. We started with France because it's just close by, probably similar to what I have seen here in terms of language, in terms of culture. It was a success. Then we said, okay, now next step is Brazil. So it's far away, but to some extent, similar language as well, as Portuguese is the language over there, similar culture, a huge potential in terms of market. And when we're starting to be successful there, then I thought, hey, we have to, now that the next step is going global. And to go global means being in the US and trying to be successful in the US. There's no way we're gonna go global there. So I decided to move my family over there and say, okay, we're gonna have the business run from San Francisco. But I have to tell that I could have not done that without first a family that really supported me. So my wife was incredibly supportive. My kids were absolutely wonderful. And I also have a great team at Inbenta back then that could say, don't worry, Jordi, you can go to the Americas. We'll take care of the business here. And they did a fantastic job at the product side, on the technology side, but also taking care of the existing business that we had and still have over here and still growing.
Cool. So what's your growth rate been like?
It's been rough for the last year, around 35% year over year. That's how we have been growing. Every time you grow, it's of course complicated. So 35% of small it's not big. It gets tougher, but that's the kind of the growth rate that we have seen. After our Series B investment, what we're trying to do now is say, okay, we will try to get into being self-sustained and entering into being profitable. That's our target for next year.
Mhm.
We don't want to be like this company that is burning cash all the time and needing more and more and more funding. What we're going to do is make sure we have a solid business that still grows sustainably without and limitless need of funding. So this is where the project that we are working towards right now.
Well, good. That's great. I mean, that's a tough thing to get over. It's basically you're waiting for somebody else to fund you, and you want to be able to take control of yourself. So.
That's right. That's right. That's what I said. We have to keep our DNA. It's been we have wonderful investors that trust us and me on that journey. But as we grow more, we go global now with business in Australia and business in Japan. We have to also make sure that we have a sustainable business that can be there and grow for a long time.
Okay. So, thinking back now over the last 15 years, if you were to start Inbenta all over again from scratch, what would you do differently and what would you keep as a good practice?
Oh man, that is a good question. If I could talk to myself, my 15 years ago, steps that I think we could just skip. I would say let's go to US first. Let's invest more in the product first instead of spending that much time on custom work for customers. Let's make sure we invest in the product now, not later. But then who knows? By maybe with these advices, maybe I would actually ruin myself and make a story that would be just worse. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's always difficult to say, but I would say, yeah, start right from the get-go from a product perspective and don't invest that much time just being in the service space.
Okay. Yeah.
On the other hand, though, we learned a lot about the problem that we were solving just by working with customers on a daily basis, right? So, as I said, maybe by giving these advices, I would actually ruin the whole story. We'll never.
Yeah. Well, I kind of call it the Zen of process improvement or the Zen of growing, because the journey is much more important than the end state because you learn a lot.
Totally right. And I would probably find myself stupid if I would travel back, and I would find myself unable to understand what I am saying, right? So who knows? I don't know.
Okay. So we can keep going on talking. This is a fascinating conversation, but we're running out of time. So how can people get in touch with you to learn more about Inbenta and Jordi Torras?
Absolutely. I would say two ways are of course, our website, inbenta.com. There are some interesting resources over there about artificial intelligence, about natural language processing and what we do, and some stories on customers. And the other thing that I'm using a lot on the business is LinkedIn. So if they go and search Jordi Torras Inbenta in Google or within LinkedIn, they will find my profile. So I can tell that if somebody goes and sends me a LinkedIn invite, I can tell you I accept everybody as long as they have a clear name and a picture of one person. Who's the person who is? So the picture with three people, I say, well, who are you from within these three people? So that would be an easy way to get to contact me.
Okay. Well, Jordi, thank you so much. You're a fantastic storyteller. I really enjoyed all your advice about being transparent and keeping your feet on the ground and dreaming big. And I'm sure our viewers will find your story just as fascinating as I did. So thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much, Henry. It's always beautiful to talk to people like you. So thank you so much for having me.